Look, we need to talk about inflation. Again, yeah, that inflation. The one that politicians blame for everything, from your $9 box of cereal to their own spectacular ongoing inability to govern. But here's the thing, it's America's greatest shot at a comeback. But you're still being told that inflation is the monster under the bed, that it's the economic equivalent of finding a scorpion in your shoe, and that the Federal Reserve must fight it. They must kill it. They must get it back down to the holy sacred 2% target. But what if I told you that in the time since we last spoke, this argument has gone from interesting to mathematically vital? What if I told you the Fed isn't just wrong, they are actively sabotaging the only escape hatch we have left? Because guess who's back? The one economic force that can actually save us from financial disaster. Because the problem, America, isn't the inflation. The problem is this, the $37.43 trillion zombie apocalypse. I mean, just a little while ago, the national debt was $33 trillion, which was already a laugh until you cry number. Well, I updated my notes. As of this month, September 2025, the US national debt is $37 trillion. That is not a number. That is a cry for help written in a font size so large it collapses the universe. It's growing by $5.72 billion per day. We are adding the entire net worth of a new random tech billionaire to the debt every single day. And what are our politicians doing? Well, they just passed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which adds another $3.4 trillion to the deficit over the next decade. Because, of course they did. They are financial arsonists arguing over who gets to hold the gasoline. You cannot pay this. You cannot tax this. You cannot cut spending your way out of this. It is an unkillable 80-story tall Cthulhu made of IOUs. But what if you could just shrink it? This is where inflation, our problematic superhero, comes in. If inflation runs at, say, 4%, that $37.43 trillion debt loses 4% of its real value every year. That is $1.48 trillion in debt vanishing into thin air annually. That's not just helpful anymore, that is essential. It's the only mathematically viable path left. So what is our brilliant Federal Reserve doing in the face of this fiscal apocalypse? Are they harnessing this power? Are they guiding it? No, they're fighting it. Inflation is currently 2.9%. It's not 10%, it's not 20%, it's 2.9%. And the Fed is still in a full-blown panic, obsessed with getting back to their arbitrary 2% target. They just cut rates a tiny bit, but they are still officially fighting the one thing that can save us. This is insane. This is like your house being on fire, and you have a giant hose full of water, but instead of using it on the fire, the $37 trillion, the Fed is aiming the hose at your lawn, which has already got plenty of water, the 2.9% inflation. They are actively fighting the only cure we have. And it gets worse, because their obsession has real-world consequences. I mean, remember that good news about manufacturing jobs coming back? That reshoring boom? Well, it's slowing down. Projections for new manufacturing jobs in 2025 are declining. The manufacturing sector is literally contracting. Why? Because when the Fed keeps rates high to fight inflation, it makes the US dollar super strong. And when the dollar is strong, our exports get expensive and foreign goods get cheap. That's right, the Fed's 2% obsession is literally making it harder to make in America. They are killing the manufacturing renaissance in its crib to worship at the altar of a number that they just pulled out of their hat in the 1990s. Meanwhile, what about you? The 65% of Americans who own a home are sitting on a winning lottery ticket. Their house value goes up and inflation eats their fixed rate mortgage. But the Fed, by trying to crush inflation, is trying to steal that lottery ticket right out of your hand. They are protecting the banks, the creditors, at the expense of the middle class, the debtors. So here's the deal. Our government is a runaway train of debt. Our politicians have proven they will only make it worse. The only thing The only mathematical force on Earth that can shrink that $37.43 trillion monster without destroying the country in a storm of austerity is moderate inflation. And the Federal Reserve is fighting it. The real villain here isn't 3% inflation. The real villain is the 2% target. So the next time you hear a politician or a financial pundit panicking about 2.9% inflation, you need to ask them, why are you trying to stop the only thing that can save us from the $37 trillion debt bomb you and your friends built? And if you still think this is all just crazy talk, 'cause I know it probably sounds like it, here's your mic drop fact. After World War II, America's debt to GDP ratio was over 110%. By 1980, after decades of moderate to high inflation, it was down to just 31%. We didn't pay it back. We inflated it away. It's the only trick we have left. But here's what this means for you. Right now, as you're watching this, you have a choice. You can either be a victim of this system, or you can flip the script and make it work for you. See, while the masses are panicking about inflation eating their savings, the smart money, the people who actually understand how the game works, they're doing something completely different. They are borrowing depreciating dollars to buy appreciating assets. They're taking out loans in money that's losing value every single day and using it to purchase income-producing real estate that's growing in value every single year. Think about it. You borrow $300,000 today. Inflation runs at 4%. In 10 years, that $300,000 debt has the purchasing power of about $200,000 in today's money. Meanwhile, that rental property you bought, it's worth $450,000 and throwing off $3,000 a month in cash flow. You've essentially created your own personal Federal Reserve. You're printing money the same way the government does, except you get to keep the profits. This is how you turn the system that's designed to crush the middle class into your personal wealth-building machine. You become the bank. You become the beneficiary of inflation instead of its victim. But here's the thing, and this is critical. Most people will never do this. It's crazy talk. Then they'll keep their money in savings accounts earning 0.5% while inflation eats 3 to 4% of their purchasing power every year, which is crazier. And they'll complain about the system while refusing to learn how it actually works. The question is, which person are you going to be? The crazy person or the really crazy person? Because if you're sitting there thinking, this makes sense, but I don't have the time, the knowledge, or the desire to become a real estate mogul, I'm just gonna leave my money in the bank because that's so much easier. Well, I've got good news for you. You don't have to do that. Even just 1 or 2 turnkey rental properties can completely change your financial trajectory. Properties that are already renovated, already rented, already managed, where you literally just collect the checks while inflation makes your debt disappear. If you want to see exactly how this works, I pulled this video right here out just for you. Watch how regular people with regular jobs are using this strategy to position themselves on the right side of the economy without becoming full-time landlords. Because the train is leaving the station, and you can either be on it or watch it disappear into the distance. If I don't see you over there, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Take care.